Might have to act after. Now he's coming. Mike's coming. In that order? Yeah. Okay. Let's start. Wow.
Councilor Kelly, all of the
Okay.
digital copies. Real set, folks. Just waiting on me.
With the goatee going on.
Mike, you know you're gonna have to keep that when you come back, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, repeat that, please.
You're gonna have to keep the beard. You're gonna have to keep the beard and the mustache when you get back.
Well, my wife says hell will freeze over before I have a beard. So
Oh, well.
I think I could have one here in California, but maybe not when I go home. So I like it.
That'll look great.
I also like not shaving every day. That's a real plus. So what do you think? You think it looks good? Do I look distinguished or just old?
Okay,
No comment.
format, I'll have department heads come talk about the budgets, major, projects. I think building inspector probably is the most exciting one of tonight, hopefully. And we'll talk about changes to that budget and some of the bigger initiatives that are coming out of that office. And then we'll just move down the line.
Hi there.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys have a format you want to follow with.
We've just been,
Line for line.
yeah, going up and just reviewing, some of the more higher level things, some of these won't change. Any big initiative that you have coming into your department, any changes, maybe the staffing that you have concerns over or want to share about, but yeah, pretty standard.
Sure. Okay, so I'm happy to go line by line with anybody who wants to go over any of these line items, but as the mayor was mentioning, we've got, three big projects we're adding potentially to our office. One is expanding the rental registry to include 1 and 2 family homes. Another is a vacant buildings law to address vacant buildings and require them to get permits, maintain them as vacant and or fix them up. And the other is a short-term rental registry. Okay, so I think all three of those are projected to create some additional revenue, which we projected to be about an additional 65,000 annually. Because of that, we would need to hire another municipal code inspector in our office. So I think in total, building expense is up 12,000 from last year, 12,749. Revenue is projected in 2024 to be up 356,075. And total building is expected to be down 344,125 from last year. And one of the reasons for that is we've got a current rental registration for all multi-residential, and you're required to get a permit for those. Most people get a 3-year permit because they're $33 they're $33 a year. You get a 3-year permit for $100. And that was initiated in 2021. In 2024 it comes up again. So the 90% of all the properties that fall into this do the 3-year permit. So 2024 will be that big bump like we had in 2021. Is there anything that anybody can understand about any of that?
I assume motor vehicles are nothing because we bought one or something
Yeah.
in 2020, and so.
That's a very good question, yeah, so we struggled for the last couple of years to find motor vehicles, so we had that in that budget, we carried it over a couple of years, we actually just purchased 2 vehicles this year. And so, yeah, that's gonna zero off the next year.
That's a good thing.
Reminder that telephone line is the IT line that's consolidated telephone and IT services.
Yeah.
We are working with SimQuest that will decrease by a significant amount, and that will impact all funds. Not just general fund and not just departmental fund, that'll impact everybody.
Mayor, is that the phone system we're looking to change?
No, that telephone, we are in the process of analyzing an upgrade or a change in telephone service. You may have heard, which is true, that the phone sets that we have are so out of date that we can't replace them easily. We have to go on eBay and find parts for them to replace our phone system or the handset, the physical handset that we have. That includes adding new people. We've got to find physical handsets on eBay to replace them. Right, and so we're in the process of doing that analysis right now, Counselor, to determine the provider, the service costs, as well as the physical hardware replacement. That is not included in that. Excuse me, that's not included in that line right now because we're still in the process of doing that analysis. But what is included in the telephone line item are all of the fees from SimQuest, including the managed backups, firewalls, physical infrastructure support, Google support, and all the managed services that SimQuest currently provides.
Okay.
And in this process, we have talked about dropping off some of the Google support that we don't need. Again, doing the analysis on the physical infrastructure that we don't need anymore, and making that transition into the Google Cloud drive that we currently have access and available to departments to start using, rather than the physical machine that they're currently using and continue to use. That's going to be a little bit of a longer process, maybe a few month process, but we should have that transition completely by the end of this year.
That's really good news for the city, I think, and also I believe there could be some cost savings to be had there, so that'll be great also.
there will be a significant amount of cost savings for reducing that amount of support and infrastructure oversight.
Mhm.
We talked about a little bit about that for the beach. Why was the beach budget so high? A lot of that is those costs are not just borne by one department, they are shared across the entire organization.
So to quickly go through my individual line items, most of them are the same as last year. Overtime is the same. Not paid compensation is up 2,500. The reason for that is because somebody in our office not taking an insurance buyout. We have no control over some of that, so that kicked that up 2,500. Let's see. We mentioned vehicles, so that's a minus 5,800. That's zeroed out. Vehicle supplies up 1,500. That's gas. Telephone there, I already talked about. Anything else that was the same as last year. Printing copying is down a little, 187, and postage is down.
Hey, Joe, the final number, is that including the proposed new hire? Like, you're showing a surplus of 67,000 at the end.
Yes, that includes.
That
Yeah,
included?
the new hire is included in the regular payroll.
Okay, so
Yeah, the 1,100, if you look at the 1,100 line compared this year compared to last, that is the difference between adding a new municipal building inspector, municipal code inspector.
yeah, I see the mayor's projection on the fees. How come that's different than the budget number? You're anticipating more revenue there?
Yes, so that anticipated revenue did not include, the original number did not include the anticipated revenues for the permits for the short-term rental permits, vacant property, increase the rental registry. Was there one more?
No,
That was it, those three. That's in line with the recent memo that I don't know if I updated it for the entire council, but that is in line with the thought around some of the housing constraints and concerns that we are trying to address, as well as the, you were probably part of, Jeff, I think you were part of the rental registry conversation about adding, the initial was 3 or more units that fell into the rental registry. Traditionally, now we've seen both in New York State and nationally, all units are generally integrated into this. And when we count the number of estimated rentals in the city of Plattsburgh, the three plus units equal or about equal the amount of the 1 unit and the 2 unit properties that are also rented in the city. We want to incorporate those as well, just as much as we want to incorporate the 3+ units, because for the same reason, secure rental stock, ensure that the rental quality is safe, and just a general oversight of rentals within the city of Plattsburgh. Same thing with the short-term rentals. I know this is a brand new conversation. It's proposed, it will be a proposal in local law to include short-term rentals as a permit. And it is going to be not a pricey permit, but it is going to, it's a privilege to have the short-term rental. So part of the thinking is making it reasonable, but also, if there's an option to oversee short-term rentals, that too will require an inspector to go to the property to make sure that the windows are safe and they can be easily used for emergency egress, and then any other safety concerns that folks might have, that the building inspector might have, consistent with what a short-term rental or what this type of rental or hotel stay would look like in a non-traditional hotel setting. Yes.
Anything else?
I'm good.
What's that?
Thank you.
Good evening.
Well,
Go line by line if you like. But after that, our regular payroll includes 36 uniform members, 2 managers and 1 part-time clerk. There haven't been any increases there. We've had 2 retirements. Those are slated to be replaced. We have 4 in the academy that are going to be graduating in 5 weeks. So they will come on and that will help offset any of our overtime costs that we've been incurring. Temporary payroll is, that's our part-time clerk. On payroll compensation, same as everybody else. Separation pay, we don't have anybody slated to, or has any conversations about retiring this year.
24,
So
in 24.
in 20. But we've talked to the senior men and that's not on their radar right now. Now that can always change if somebody's situation changes, but going forward, that's not it. Furniture, office equipment, motor vehicles, technical and special, we're all staying right at about the same. Capital outlay, we don't have any big vehicle supplies, we dropped a little bit. Working on that. Seeing if we can get some costs there, seeing with vehicle parts. We're looking at our fire engine that we have that's in production will be a year. So we should be getting it this time next year, along with the other EMS unit. That'll help us with offset some of those costs. Building grounds, same thing, we're dealing with buildings that are. One was built in 1949, now it was 1957, so keeping up on maintaining those is an ongoing process. Office supplies, we want to maintain their personal clothing and equipment. That includes a lot of our turnout gear, any of our new hires, uniforms, helmets, boots, all that we have to do. So that's why you see that's. I would also, instead of doing a capital project, we're trying to do consistent replacement programs so that we don't have a capital project that every year we're replacing equipment as getting ahead of it. Gas, water, sewer, telephone, all the same. Contracted services the same. Printing and copying, I mean, there are no real changes. Employee training. We've lowered that a little bit. Just in last year, we were expecting more in our paramedic program. This year, we're going to lower that a little bit. There's been an issue with the school in E-Town, so what we thought we were going to have this year for people going in. The open enrollment is still continuing on. So let's give people that's costly when we have made adjustments. The ambulance charges, you're going to see that our revenue is up. This last month, we had 300 calls for the first time we've ever been recorded. So our calls have been up by 200 back out again. So that's showing an increase in our revenue, which helps offset our money.
The regular payroll, you said 36 regular, 2
Managers.
managers.
So you have the chief and the assistant chief, and then we have a part-time clerical position.
And the contracted services, what's, just to help me understand what is that?
Which you want to help now?
Sure. Contract services will include council, attorney fees, also things that like pump testing, ladder testing, annual things that we have contracts with, hydrostatic testing, just the reoccurring costs for vendors that are expected annually.
It also covers our ambulance billing company. So whenever, they're the ones that process all the bills
Okay,
and make the deposits for us and everything else and make sure that we're getting as much as we possibly can.
okay. Awesome.
That's $65,000 to $70,000 is
Yeah.
just for that. Any other questions?
Staffing remains the same.
Staffing remains the same. Now, as I said, we have the 4 coming out of the academy. Right now, we're down to 6 working positions. So we're instead of 36 working positions, we have 30. We have 2 retirements and 4 in the academy. During the 5 weeks they come out. We do 2 weeks of JT. And then we run to shift and they count towards me. That'll help. That's 4 positions. You got 4 shifts that has a position each shift.
Any other questions for Keith? Comments? Yeah. Either.
So to start. Our line by line, starting with our payroll. That number includes total 42 sworn officers,
42,
42.
okay,
Inside that 42, it's 24 officers, patrol officers, 5 detectives, detective sergeant, 8 patrol supervisors, that's 4 purpose 4 sergeants, 2 lieutenants, captain, and chief. Also includes 2 dispatchers, 3 civilian positions. YSAs, which are new safety advocates, are in that, which we do get reimbursed from the schools. When public housing officer gets part of this salary reimbursed, also in there. For overtime. On that, yeah.
That does include 2 vacancies.
Yes. So our overtime budget. Working a bit hard to keep that down. A little bit more on that, that's 215,000. The non-payroll compensation. Which includes health insurance buyouts, sick leave buyouts, and uniform allowance. Separation pay is going to be up due to possibly 7 retirees, people coming up for retirement. Don't believe all those are going to go, but
We've talked about this as well. We anticipate whenever somebody is eligible for retirement that we do budget. Unless they've made it very clear that they're not leaving. But that's still special circumstances to not budget for some type of separation.
motor vehicles. We're hoping to supplement our vehicles, get them back up to working orders, and our vehicles are getting pretty high in 9 miles. Hoping this is going to get our team back up is where it should be. They'll keep down costs for repairs. Technical and special equipment, that's looks up by quite a bit. Reason being is our radio systems, handheld radios are way past their life. We've had it as long as I've been here, for over 24 years.
We just found out recently that, back in 2005, they were actually in the lakes in this spot. Having said that, we are looking at ways to help out. Just maybe whatever grant could possibly help us with that. Skip down to personal clothing and equipment. He's gonna cover new officers. Officer clothing. Replacement items for those officers. Includes uniforms, pants. Now some detective equipment. Looking at hopefully having an ATV in like school this year. Got to inform those guys. And get them trained. Natural gas, water, telephone. Contracted services, those are our academy directors, salary comes out of that. And our cleaning service. Thermal maintenance. Moving up to motor vehicle repairs, hoping that we're gonna be out for new vehicles to get that cost down, but. That's what I did. I was hoping with other works, there would be some repairs in our vehicles. That would be tested. Control is to explain those a little bit, the contracted services. Belmore's and then Eagle's Nest, Eagle's Nest. If we have any animals that may need some medical treatment, and we haven't done an owner, or if it's due to a criminal investigation, they have to assist us with housing animals. Belmore's we go through for animals at large, if we can't find the owners quickly. We transport them out to the Elmore's and the owners and so forth. These animal control fees for service. That is Grimshaw. We've been very active since we were out on back in the end of January.
Do you mind, and it's not budget related, can you have Mr. Grimshaw provide a report to the Public Safety Committee on how many animals have been tracked?
Again,
And if he tracks what animal it was.
sure.
Yeah.
I do have this, the difference in the numbers that he has between what he's handled for domestic.
Yeah.
Domestic policy he's had, he's had 195, he's handled since January 20th. Nuisance animals, but every 38. I don't know what he's drafted. That has to break that down. If there's that. Total cost for him was 200. He's been pretty busy. Any questions on any of that?
On that note, am I too soon, anything, it's sounding like we're reaching the end of a lot of, like our equipment's gonna need replacing soon. Am I hearing that? That we're gonna, it seems like all kind of falls at once, that, you know, we've got radios.
Yeah,
and whatnot.
so when we talked earlier this year about the body cameras, part of that contract included replacement of vehicle cameras.
Okay,
As a combined, in that conversation, it was raised that the radios, as Captain has noted, are end of life, well beyond end of life. That those, in the technical and special equipment, there is a proposal to replace those 50 radios along with several vehicle computers and radars for those vehicles. That's up at the top. 2400 line under technical and special equipment, so that's why that number is a little bit higher than it has been in years past, 120,000 to replace those. The vehicles, as Captain has also pointed out, there was some vehicle purchases or replacements or significant repairs last year. PD did come and ask for 2 vehicle replacements. I said, no, you're gonna get a 1.5 vehicle replacement. So that's what has been budgeted there. Your assumption and estimate is not incorrect. You know, they do belong and kind of force their hand as well a little bit,
Yeah,
you know, in a responsible way, as much as we possibly can to get, you know, to squeak out any life left.
and obviously the state doesn't do anything.
Well, we do look for grant opportunities in public safety in general. Some of that grant opportunity is replacing personal equipment like bulletproof vests,
Okay,
and equipment like this. We do always keep on the lookout for grant opportunities for this kind of public safety equipment replacement. It is very specific though. Sometimes we get a grant, sometimes the grant gets handed to us, and it might not be exactly for what we need, but it is something that we could use, and so we certainly don't let
Pass it
that
up,
grant
yeah.
pass up.
okay,
We pursue it, but whenever we do, and whenever we can, we do find grant opportunities for these. As well as our partner agencies will turn us on to grants. I think the VA just recently turned us onto a recent grant for equipment replacement. But again,
Takes time for. Criminal branch to go through.
Yeah.
Maybe here.
oh, I know about that.
and the hope is always that we budget for it. With the hope that we do and we can obtain a grant to offset what we have budgeted with an ultimate saving for human.
Anything else on that? Because overall, we are looking at. Our budget being down a little over 300,000. I guess that's.
And to point out the relationship that we have with the school district and the housing authority is that we do get reimbursed for those resources, or partially reimbursed. We get reimbursed 100% for any youth safety advocates that are, we just recently passed the approval of adding a third youth safety advocate to the school district. That is a vacancy that will be filled. That's $35,000 that's reimbursed to the city, in addition to the other 2 youth safety advocates. The housing authority also reimburses right around 37% of an officer's time to be present and available for housing authority concerns, responses. They have a very good relationship with Officer Rotella. He's been doing great work for the city and for the housing authority. He's to be the go-to person for that, and great to have him there. But that's also reimbursed under the public safety police fees. Goes down to the bottom of your page where it says public safety, it's 1520 police fees.
Mhm.
That amount is $136,020. So that even though you look at the regular payroll, those folks those 4 officers, they are calculated in this regular payroll line, but they are also, their time is then reimbursed appropriately to the tune of $136,020.
I know the YSO, we had been some discussion with Mr. LeBron, and he's working on taking some of the pressure out of us with vehicles, letting them use our vehicles. He's open to come forward with a couple vehicles that the YSO students great. Keep a little wear and tear out of it.
What are police fees?
That's that is that line that we get reimbursed. That, yeah, that is that line that we get reimbursed by the school district and by the housing authority for those officers' times.
So we make money on that?
Yeah, they reimburse us for that.
Okay, it's just reimbursement.
Yeah, so if you do the calculation of the regular payroll. The regular payroll minus the
Comes out.
reimbursement. Yeah, the total payroll is right at 3.427 million. Rather than what it reads as the regular payroll at 3.56. So when all the math is done, the total payroll that is paid out of the general fund is just right at that 3.4 million.
Yeah, I wonder how come parking violations and fines is zero, is that, you must have parking violations.
That is in the parking fund.
Okay, so
Yes.
that doesn't come out.
Correct. But you will see that the fines is up this year. I believe Captain Mitchell is in line with doing a lot more and reinstating the traffic control. As we know, speeding is a concern, hot pockets are concerns. No, I mean,
Speeding is absolutely
yeah,
out of control.
Yeah.
And.
yeah. So part of that increase is accounting for increased traffic control.
And fines, forfeit, bail.
Yep.
We get that much, is that
So
separated?
sorry, that fines and forfeited bail, that is that traffic control that's mostly the fines. There is some bail that we do get, but it's
Okay.
obviously with bail reform that's very limited. But there is the forfeiture crime, DOJ, Treasury, Treasurer, Border Patrol, and other. Those are the partnerships that we have with those partner agencies, where when we're participating in a drug bust or we're participating with them, we do get some of that money back.
And what's this one, this forfeit, 26 forfeiture. Crime, DOJ and
Yeah.
DEA.
Yeah, those are those agencies that we partner with to, and I'm not an expert at this, we've just been talking about this for a couple years, so, but that is, those are.
Justice. Yeah.
Yeah, is that money that's being given?
They reimburse over time. That we assist with.
Oh, okay.
And I know we reinstated, you have to tell me what this even means, I don't even know it's still guarded and.
It's basically the same thing. It's a border enforcement. We are assisting through the sheriff's department, they're the agency that disperses the money throughout the county. When they request, they have certain cases where they're busy and they pass us to assist. They would pay our salaries and we go on the system. Border security.
I don't run into these things very often and, curious.
We had to go into it for a while and then it fell inside for us. We just got back into it. Just this year. It's good for everyone.
Overall, the police budget again, we're still working through these numbers. Overall, the police budget will be down almost 6.5%, 6.42%. Their revenues will also be down about 3.3%. Fire will be up 2%, 2.8%. Their revenues will also be up about 4.5%. And then building, as you all can tell, their increase is going to be about 2.5%, but then their revenues are going to be right about 200%, considering it. And that, again, it's all dependent on the passage of the vacant property local law, the short-term rental local law, and the adding of the rentals, the additional rentals to the rental registry. one thing that we have heard from, obviously with traffic issues. Built into the budget, trying to increase our traffic controls as well as bike presence. And that's been a big thing for folks wanting to see more bike controls. As well as pursuing the opportunities for electric bikes.
We should use snowmobile patrols in the winter.
Some of them,
I think that would be cool.
I told cross country skiing patrol that they,
Oh, yeah.
like old school James Bond, right? So now.
You know, I noticed that coming over here, and not some people. Those electric bikes, they are really. Both,
Oh my God,
they're in the city and, some of those go pretty gosh darn fast.
So they're.
I had trouble crossing the street here, just coming down here, and, you know, guy just cut right through the intersection. Hey, I was going, 20, 25 miles an hour, you gotta really keep your eyes open for those things, because they're not as big as a car was see back.
They're not as loud as a motorcycle.
And, a lot of them
They
are
think
black,
the buckets can do it.
especially at night too, like.
We just talked to Rotary about this, it's nothing to do with y'all, but, hang on if you want. We just talked to Rotary today, and we're gonna see more of that, and there's a number of reasons, the technology for electric bikes is more readily available.
And that's fine, but
Totally
there's a
fine,
lot
yeah.
of them out there that, I mean,
Yeah.
you're down the middle of the road, but you're only doing 20, 25, or you're just going in and out and you're not being respectful.
Mhm.
You're not being cautious and careful,
Yeah.
and it'll be our fault if we never. Because they're on the bike.
Yeah, it's a lot of education, especially because people are biking more just in general, and then you have a new technology that you're adding into the transportation mix. There's a lot of education, one of the reasons why we did the bike friendly platform plan is for that, is to start to raise awareness that there are people that are gonna be using bikes more. But it's awareness on both ends. It's not just the bicyclists that need to follow the law, it's also drivers that need to also understand the laws and follow them too. So,
Some of them are getting quite large too. I noticed they.
Big old tires.
yeah.
I know. For winter, they're gonna have spiked tires, you watch and see.
Jeans. I don't hold them.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you very much.
yeah, thanks folks. Anything else to?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not parking, yeah, let's talk park, I didn't print out the parking, didn't print out parking. You wanna hang out for a moment? Sure. That's over to sell.
I imagine biking will be a little bit different next year, just a little bit.
Yeah. just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Counselor Kelly, I'll send this to you as well.
I'm sorry, Mayor, you mentioned my name, but I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you the parking sheet. The parking budget.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Just one page.
Yeah, there's just. And we'll say monthly.
Right,
Yeah, right.
we've kind of transitioned everything over.
Councilor Vaughn. Parking, parking used to be managed upstairs in the community development office. That's when we kind of spun up the whole parking meters. And that's where the parking enforcement officer, as well as the downtown cleanup guy, operates out of it. So we have one full-time person that focuses on downtown cleanup. That person plus the 2 parking enforcement officers are funded out of the parking fund. However, we ended up moving the administration from upstairs over to the police department because those employees primarily operate out of the police department, with the exception of that one downtown person who operates out of DPW. So this year is like that final transition year that everything then gets moved over and it's administered by the police department. Primarily in police. Congratulations. You're welcome.
For the regular payroll, like you explained, our 2 parking enforcement officers and the downtown, and an additional. An addition to downtown as well, paid at 50%. There generally isn't overtime for our internal officers, but we definitely have some. What they have going on there, events for them. Non-payroll compensation is minimal. No, we don't. Most of the employees are fairly new, besides our Tori, and she's been there for about 6 years now. So they're not eligible for fire or anything, so it's something we don't have to look at for a while. So that's why there's some separation there. Vehicle supplies, vehicle parts, we do have vehicles that we gain through seized assets that we have used and then recycled to try to get them realize our vehicles. The maintenance and that is upkeep. Probably in the next year or so, we probably should look at finding alternatives, but for right now, I think those amounts for repairs definitely are enough to maintain driving. Supplies, minimal personal equipment in here. There are a lot of maintenance, new jacket, pants, shirts, everything you don't touch. Depends on where I care. Gas, water, sewer, bins, just regular utilities that we have. Insurance, we want the last 3 lines on that well, are something that Richard Marks I believe inputs that add on the contract service. I'll be honest, I'm not quite familiar with some of that stuff, but that has to do with like real property and
It also includes the contract payment for the parking system.
that's what I thought, you know, yeah. Okay. I'm still learning it, Matt and I actually have to meet tomorrow, and just fun things up, so we're on the same page. We jump back up. The only one that I really dealt with on here is 2506, the parking permits, 25, 0 parking fees, and 26, 22, parking violations and fees. Those are all revenues generated from City Beach. parking violations, the permit fees for various counties or businesses. Parking violations, and those numbers are going to be explained more in detail once I have that meeting with that numbers.
So that's where the parking fees have gone, Councilmember. Moved out of the departmental budgeting into this fund.
I see you have 2023 revised 196,000. You didn't make that much this year, did you?
We have to go back and check. I don't know how much was actually generated in parking fees and violations. Most likely not, considering that we did give some deviation downtown. For the, the special consideration for the construction. We'll have, pardon? April, I think, yeah. So we don't have our final numbers for, even though it was revised, we do not have our final numbers for parking fees violations.
Well, hopefully that'll change next year.
That's the idea is that with the parking fund in general, it's not intended to be punitive. It's intended to cycle traffic through downtown, so people are not sitting there all day long on the street. That's the whole reason why we created the parking permit system, so that people who need to stay downtown because they're working, they can park in a parking lot and stay there all day. And obviously with the construction, then we said, okay, we're gonna do away with it temporarily, then bring it back. Part of the goal, as well as we've heard and seen, is to add additional support to downtown cleanup, weeds, park cleanup, and all the other features that we have downtown, which is why we're adding an additional half person to this budget. Any overages still yet to be determined, but initially we said we were going to invest that back into downtown improvement. We may not need to do that this year, considering Margaret Street and the improvement in Margaret Street, but that's still an option. Alternatively, there's a potential refund back to the special assessment district payers that would discount future payments into the special assessment district tax. This fund historically, as general fund, or what we talked about, local share. Historically, this fund did receive a local share from the general fund. Back in 21, it was 150,000. In 22, it was 120,000. Next year, we're anticipating zero. No local share into this fund. So essentially, it being self-sufficient, which is the goal from the beginning.
Just to give you an idea, I did generate a report from year to date from January 1st through September 14th. And just the IPS revenue for the kiosks was 80,400.
That's considering what's going on, that's
So,
darn. So, yeah, absolutely.
that doesn't include tickets.
Yeah, that's a small portion.
Yep.
Any questions about parking, comments, suggestions, concerns?
Did that include the beach? I don't, you did, okay.
Yeah, no, with everything getting downtown, that was the majority of.
Yeah,
revenue.
okay,
The revenue was 79,559.
at the beach? Wow. We done that?
The first full summer that we had,
Did a lot of rain, so
the
Yeah, that's why I'm shocked, because we had so much rain and so much flooding and stuff. So.
Yeah. That's like a scratching beard. That's what it sounded like.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, folks, that's it. That's all of the departments at this point. Yeah, that's it. It's all the departments at this point, and I'll continue chipping away. Really, yesterday, what did I say? I was trying to fill $300,000 gap. Today, we're trying to fill a $98,000 gap. Not that big a deal. It's easily manageable. For the charter, this budget will be released on or before the 8th, which is a Sunday. I think we ran into the same problem last year, so it'll probably be released on Friday. Saturday is the latest. But included in that, if you hadn't reviewed the budget packet from last year, same narrative, department, the narrative charts, outlook for environmental and economic factors. We'll do a department by department overview about major initiatives that included and considered for this. Different from last year, I'll also include information on staffing in this budget packet.
Will that be on hard copy or on?
Both. You'll get a, we typically print out a binder that has all the information and the charts and the everything included. Once it gets turned over to the council, you guys will have the digital sheet as well. You can manipulate and change and do what y'all need to do.
It's hard, all I have is a cell phone, so I'm looking at it and,
Yeah.
I mean, I have an iPad, but it doesn't.
We have laptops, if you need one.
No, I'm sorry, that's good.
Okay.
I
Well, we
appreciate
no, but in terms of for council, if you want one, or if you need to borrow one, we have them specifically for council to take with you if you need one. And then, yes. Yeah.
When desperate measures arise, like for the PAC meetings, I use my iPad, but
Gotcha.
it's not ideal. By any means.
Yeah, of course. Well, if
But
you,
hard copy of the book.
for sure. Yeah, but if you need it, it's an option, just reach out to Beth and
Right.
she can set you up with a Chromebook.
Mhm.
Other than that, if you looking at these sheets and you got questions or comments or suggestions, certainly let me know. Try to incorporate them before the end of the week. But yeah, you should see that packet come out here shortly. All right. Thanks folks for being here. Thanks to the department head for going through this exercise. Very valued. Appreciate it. And yeah, we'll wrap it up. Thanks, Councilor Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate the opportunity.
Of course.